So Marshall Kelly will walk them back and forth.
Run of the record reflect and show in the spirit. Data states proposed 4 through 8 been previously provided in discovery.
Okay, thank you.
If you could take those tables out there. Set the right.
Your Honor, I object to this. I would like to focus. Your Honor, plainly he said that he messed up his years, and that is a big one, considering he's given Facebook records for the years he isn't supposed to. I think if we want to see Facebook records, he should get them from 2014, because that's where supposedly this crime happened. Because the state is claiming that this happened to a 13-year-old girl. Well, if he gets records from 2014 Facebook records, that will show that I made contact with her, not a record that's from 2015, which would make her 14. So the state's case of her being 13, he can't prove it because he has no records. He's showing records from 2015. Yeah, I object to the 2015 records, Facebook records being used to convict me to try to convict me for a case that he says is supposed to be back in 2014. Because if you take the 2015 records that he has...
So I get your argument. Right. What's the objection? So is it hearsay? What's the objection?
Yes, hearsay.
Okay, so explain to me. Tell me about that.
The officer right there just admitted that he had the wrong year, that he should have got 2014. If the state wanted a case, Your Honor, they should have went and got 2014 instead of bringing records for 2015 in the court. What did 2015 prove when I'm charged for 2014? Right. So yes, they got to prove that that's my Facebook, Your Honor. And it hasn't been proven that that's my Facebook. I have one Facebook. It's Poker Star.
This is not about you making representations. Right. This is an objection. These are not speaking objections. It's telling the legal basis for the objection.
They're documented as a business record kept in the ordinary course to the detective. They come routinely through an email link. They no longer hard copy. Facebook doesn't. So these are a business record kept in the ordinary course of Facebook business. It comes like this and a link and an email. That's all it comes like. I asked him for it. There is no certificate that comes with it.
No custodial records affidavit, and the fact that they can get an IP address to match, but they have no IP address to match, and no custodian records, and they want to let this in.
Okay, so in the past, when I've seen your Facebook friends, in lieu of sending someone to court, they send an affidavit that say these are the true, but you're saying that they didn't do that.
I have asked him to look at it. I can put it on the record if the court wants me to. He told me that no certificate claim, that now when they do returns, because there's so many subpoenas, they do a link and an email, and this is all you get. And the disc with all the records has the identifying information of each party. But
Does it
there's
have a
no,
Facebook person's?
No.
you don't know. Stop talking.
Okay, so,
I mean, that's the only foundation we have.
alright, so specifically right now with the question, you're trying to explain to me like the question that's going to go on with him in regards to these records.
You submitted a search warrant to Facebook, and how did that return come to you? That return came to me in an email with a link. Were you provided any separate business certification other than that comes from their legal compliance division? No, I wasn't. And this is how they came, except there's probably like 4,000 pages on the original disc.
So I think you can go into the questions with him in regards to what he did and what he received in regards to actual documents. And I do agree that it's hearsay without any type of affidavit or documentation, so I'm going to sustain that objection. But like I said in the question,
So the door has been opened by him in opening too. So when he opens the door about 2015, then I'm going to call the detective back, because we've heard multiple times in front of the jury, even during his opening, that Facebook's going to prove that I was friends with her in 2015. So he's really opened the door to them as well.
Your Honor, Your Honor. Right, right. I take the rule, Your Honor. Right, I understand. Your Honor, what I'm trying to say is, I know I want an argument, but what I'm trying to say is, I want proof that this is my Facebook. It's not. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
alright, so sustain in regards to hearsay.
Thank you.
Detective, explain to me the process how you issue a search warrant to Facebook.
I have to provide the user profile names to Facebook or any personal information, which would include date of birth, cell phone information, maybe an address, and that's the type of information you have to provide them for them to actually confirm that that user exists with the company.
Did you do that for Vanessa Robinson in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you do that for Raymond Davis?
Yes, I did.
How long after, when you submit your search warrant to Facebook, how do they respond to you?
They have a law enforcement portal that's specifically only used by law enforcement personnel, and when you first make the preservation for the usernames, they'll confirm that that username exists, and they will request that you submit a search warrant because it is a lot of personal information. And so in this case, the search warrant was, once it was approved, it was uploaded into the Facebook portal.
So when you upload your search warrant into the Facebook portal that is for law enforcement, are you communicating with an individual, or does it just go into this portal?
With Facebook, it's just the portal, so it's pretty much there at their pace, so you receive it whenever they object.
Unless he works for Facebook, I don't know how he would know how Facebook operates.
He's describing his interaction with Facebook and his response times as a law enforcement officer. He is not giving an opinion on any internal workings of Facebook.
Okay, so for that purposes, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead, please.
So when you log into this portal, how do you confirm that Facebook has received your search warrant?
I believe it's like an email they sent you, replying back to your upload.
Does that email come from an individual, or does it just come from the portal?
It just comes from the portal.
And when they respond to your search warrant, in other words, provide you what you're asking for, how do you get it? Do you get a big old stack of paper? Do you get a disc in the mail? What do you get?
In this case, they're just PDF files. So the PDF files, it's a link within the portal, so you just click on the hyperlink or the link.
I object, Your Honor. May we approach?
Yes.
Your Honor, I just won the ruling, and he's still saying what he got from Facebook. Well,
I'm sorry, say that once
he's,
again?
I just won the ruling, and he's still saying what he got from Facebook.
This isn't hearsay, this is procedural. There's no content being offered for the truth.
In this case,
Yes, I think that she can, question him on how he went through his investigation, but she can't substantively get into what was in the Facebook.
what about he's saying in this case?
So what right, so like if let's say he says, in this case I sent a request and within 14 days I received notice or something like that, I'm fine with that, as long as she doesn't substantively get into the record and say, hey, these are the records of where he did others. This is who he was friends with. This is when he made contact with someone, so that would be substantive. So
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Klaus, if you're going to lawyer for him, then I need to hear what you're saying.
No, I wasn't. I'm not trying to make the objection
Okay.
for him, Your Honor. I'm just trying to steer his objection on the legal grounds rather than factual ones. So
So-
I'm sorry, I'm being impaired here for lack of a better term.
no, that's okay. So go ahead, Mr. Diggs, what were you saying? What was
Yeah,
the last
so
thing you were saying?
basically I'm saying what he's trying to bring in is evidence that's been taken out. Basically, he's bringing in how he got it, this.
What I'm saying is that he can say, as part of my investigation, I received the records, but that's what it says. He can't get into what the record says, so he's allowed to say,
Okay.
as part of the investigation, he received those,
Okay,
and then
I understand.
the jury will hearsay what's actually in them, and they can
I
take from there
understand,
a
yeah.
bit more.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay? So that objection
Unless,
overruled.
unless I can lay a business record foundation,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Detective, you were saying that you get them through a PDF. How is that PDF attached? Do you go to a website? How do you get to that PDF document?
So it's within the same portal that my work email is attached to the case. So they provide like a case number, and then they have a download link where you click on it and you download it to open up the file. And they come as PDF files, which is pretty much, looks like it's just scanned paper, and you go through each download they provide for you. In this case, they gave me three downloads, for 2 of Raymond's accounts and 1 for Vanessa Robinson's account.
Did they give you any?
Your Honor, I don't object, but did you say 2 Raymond Davis's? I just didn't hear him.
Yes, 2 accounts for Mr. Raymond Davis.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, officer.
Did they send you any separate business record certification?
Not within those downloaded files. The only thing I have on top of the file on top of each piece of paper says Facebook business record.
And that's just a one line across the top of each piece of paper within the PDF.
That's correct.
There's no separate certification about a person to contact at Facebook.
There's not.
Have you received more than one Facebook search warrant return under the same circumstances?
For this case?
Not for this case, just overall. Is that how you always receive a search warrant return from Facebook?
From my experience, yes.
Have you ever received a separate business record document from Facebook in these search warrants that you've executed?
Not that I recall, no.
And the portal that you use to communicate with Facebook, tell me about who that's designed for.
It's all designed for law enforcement personnel.
Okay. Does that include state and federal law enforcement personnel? I mean, do you know any different way to get a hold of Facebook?
They provide a lot of phone numbers and addresses, but from my experience and through their guidelines at that time.
Your Honor, object. Object is called to the extent of, I object to speculation, to the extent of speculation. He's speculating on how it's done.
You said at the time in 2015, this is how it was done.
So if you know, your knowledge is fine, if you have personal knowledge.
Around that time frame, they provide guidelines on their website and or within the law enforcement portal. And I have to provide them a work email, which in this case would have been Adam7775 M as in Mary at lvmpd.com. And they, I don't know how they do it, but they confirm that you're a working entity with the police department, and they have you first request a preservation letter, and then they have you upload the search warrant when the link is provided at their, I guess when they decide to do that.
But they do not give you, or correct me if I'm wrong, do they give you any contact information for someone to certify that those are true and accurate records? Other than logging on through that portal, do you have any other mechanism?
At the time, not to my knowledge, I don't.
Did I have you go back and look for that certification?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Were you able to find any separate document other than the Facebook link?
I was not.
State would renew my request to have the detective look and testify to the Facebook documents.
I object, Your Honor.
Okay, and what's the objection?
On grounds is hearsay.
It goes to weight, not admissibility. That is the only foundation that we can lay for a business record for that time frame.
Okay, parties approach. So, if we were just discussing whether or not it was actually his, right, I was going to do weight versus admissibility, because I think we argued in regards to the records themselves, self-employment, I just don't see how you get an unenforceable objection. It's without that affidavit that Facebook sends once they're subpoenaed.
Well, I mean, are they necessarily offered for the truth? They're really offered to show the existence of a relationship. I mean, it's not necessarily for just what's contained in them. I mean, he knows her, he's on her friend list, she's on his friend list. There's no solicitation in there. I mean, there's statements in there, come clean my house. But that's not necessarily, that's not offered for the truth. I don't care whether you wanted to tell them or not. I mean, there is a non-hearsay purpose. I mean, I understand the court's concern. It was my concern last week. That's all I have. You know, I made him go back and look. I made him go call Facebook. There's nothing. So.
Your Honor, it's like you said before. I mean, this is basically hearsay. He just even mentioned that he got 2 different Facebooks for Raymond Davis. I mean, how do we know which one is mine? I only got one Facebook in this poker. So he searched 2 Facebooks. He said he came back with 2 Facebooks for me. To allow any, so basically, he don't know which one would be me and which one is fake. So let's go ahead, Mr. Collins.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So, if you had something to say, go ahead.
One of them is his poker stuff, and the other one is his personal. So.
No. Okay. I want to answer this, but I don't know how one is poker and one is personal. My poker, so, Your Honor, to allow something in that's not even authentic, might not even be mine. It's hearsay.
So, I think the issue here is, yes, what the issue is it being offered for the truth of the matter asserted? I think it's being offered to show Hades to work during this time period, right? So I do think it's offered for the truth of the matter asserted. I think the only way that it can come in is if Facebook obviously is personally subpoenaed,
Yes.
and then, obviously, when they send in their own affidavit via electronics, not proof to the attorney via, when they don't want to come in via their testimony.
Mhm.
That's,
I agree, Your Honor.
Okay, so again, he stood up 3 times and talked about what's in Facebook. So,
right, so if that door is opened,
Mhm.
well, I think it's already open as well.
Not legal.
so,
All right. If openings are not legal arguments or fact.
so, the
Well, they are if you make suggestions about evidence that you can't argue.
Not when you got a time frame that don't match.
okay, so if you have, just stating if you have, I agree with Ms. Combs, if that door is open, then the door is going to be open. I agree with you that opening statements are not evidence. So, for right now, the objection as to hearsay is sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you catalog what you received back from Facebook?
I did.
And did you provide that to the state?
I did.
Did you submit that as part of your request for an arrest warrant for Mr. Davis?
I did.
When you, after you got the search warrant returned from Facebook, and you had the photo lineup from Ms. Robinson, did you talk to anyone else?
I did.
Who did you talk to?
I located Adriana Walker and scheduled an interview with her August of 2016.
Did you also show Ms. Walker a photo lineup?
I did.
Is a copy of that photo lineup contained in States 2 that's still up there with you?
Yes.
If you would pull that out for me, sir, please. Have you take a look at 2B?
Your Honor, I object. This is basically hearsay. Mrs. Walker has not testified.
Well, I haven't moved to admit it yet.
Oh,
Overruled.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
It has my information on there, my name and my personnel number for the department, and it has Adriana Walker's information on there as well.
Your Honor, I object. Withdraw.
Okay.
Does it also have the event number attached to this case, 150-723-4414?
Yes.
And what, without telling me what's contained in 2B, what is that generally? What is that document?
That's an LBMPD photo lineup.
Did you compile that photo lineup?
I did.
Does it contain a picture of Raymond Davis?
It does.
Thank you. And you showed that to Adriana Walker?
Yes, she circled it and...
Go tell me what she circled.
Object.
Sorry.
Object, Honor, it's hearsay. Adrian Walker has not testified.
That's an observation. He didn't say what she circled or what she said.
So,
It's not a statement.
the objection is sustained. I will note that he didn't discuss, we're not going to talk about the contents of the document,
Okay, Your
officer. So just go ahead, Ms. Collins.
You interacted with her with that document in your presence, correct?
I did.
And then did you ultimately take it back and deposit it in the envelope too that we talked about earlier?
I did.
Okay. After you talked to Adriana, after you did your work with Facebook, at some point did you make a phone call to Raymond Davis? Talking about January of 2016.
January 2016, I did, around that time frame, I did make a phone call to Mr. Davis, or actually, Mr. Davis made a phone call to me because I left my business card at his address.
And just specifically to this question, did Mr. Davis indicate whether or not he knew Vanessa Robinson?
I object, Your Honor, hearsay.
Statement of the defendant.
This is directly impinging against my, it's not.
I'm sorry, what?
It's not impinging on my penal interests.
Well, I disagree.
So it's a statement of the defendant is not hearsay, so it is overruled in the answer to the question.
What did he tell you about knowing Vanessa Robinson?
He did not know her.
When, just backing up just a little bit, when you interviewed Vanessa Robinson in July of 2015, did you take any efforts to get her out of juvenile detention?
I did not.
Did you interfere or intervene at all with the case that she was on probation for?
I did not.
Were you ever able to locate China Rowles?
I was not able to locate her, no.
Did you also talk to a woman by the name of Cecilia?
I did.
When did you talk to Cecilia?
I believe it was earlier this year, around May of 2019.
And did she provide you a Facebook post?
She did.
I'll pass the witness room.
Mr. Davis,
May I have a short break of Davis, Your Honor?
yes. Short as in you need a recess, or did you just want to step outside for a second?
Short as in all this stuff, just step into the antechamber with the court for a minute.
Just take 5 minutes, do you mind?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, during the recess, you're not allowed to talk to the person by yourself or with anyone else on any subject connected to this trial, read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary in the trial of any person connected to this trial of any media information, including without limitation, newspapers, television, internet, radio, or form express any opinion on any subject connected to the trial or cases found and submitted to you. 5 minutes.
All rise for the exiting jury.
I'll step out so you guys can talk. She's gonna talk about
Okay, Mom. Okay. All right, we're back in the record in C342946, case number versus Raymond Davis. Mr. Davis is present. Out of custody with Mr. Costa and my counsel, Ms. Collins on behalf of the state. Mr. Costa, do you have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Davis?
Yes, Your Honor, I think I answered all of his questions about cross-examination.
Okay, great.
About what?
Cross-examination.
Oh.
Examination is effective.
It's in process of elimination.
All right, the answer to the jury. All members of the jury are present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Back on the record in state of Nevada versus Davis, that would be C-342-946. Mr. Davis is here to stand by counsel. Mr. Cost, Chief Deputy District Attorney Ms. Collins is here. Detective Martinez is on the stand, so I just remind you that you're still under oath, sir. Thank you. Do both parties stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Mr. Davis is your witness at this point.
So, Officer Martinez, what was the dates of this alleged crime? You put it in the points of authority.
Can you repeat that again?
What was the dates that you said these crimes happened? That you put in your points of authority? I can bring it to you so you can look at it.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, he's showing him a state's motion that's not drafted by the detective.
Well, I want to give him the dates that he can take a look at it.
Okay,
Well, objection, hearsay.
so that's a document that was prepared by the state?
Yeah, it's by the state, so, I mean, the state, this is the charging paper, so.
The objection sustained.
So, in your mind, what was the dates of this alleged crime? I'm not gonna give you the state's date.
It was 2014, on or around the, I think, fall or summer of 2014. And the other incident was early June of 2015.
You're saying June of 2015, you sure it's not?
I'm sorry, correction.
Yeah.
It's June of, that's correct, June of 2015.
So, you acknowledge that you went and got the wrong Facebook search warrant. Do you acknowledge that?
Yes.
So, what I don't understand is, if you went and got the wrong Facebook records, why wouldn't you go back and fix that?
In this case, when I reviewed the Facebook records, I had seen that they were friends as of, I think, May of 2015. There's a specific date that it showed they are now friends. And so it was an overlook on my part because I had, for some reason, thought that that's the times that I requested were the accurate times, which I now find out it's not.
Again, officer, I ask you again, why didn't you go back and get the correct records when you had 3 years?
I did not. I found out recently.
So you just found out recently it was wrong.
Yes.
So, how long have you been a police officer?
17 years.
And you just recently found out that you got the wrong search book years.
Yes.
Wouldn't you go to the DA and say, I'm sorry, I got the wrong years, this couldn't happen in those years?
I had mentioned it to the district attorney's office during our discussion about the investigation, and I did tell her that it was an error on my part.
So basically, you told the DA that you erred. It's an error on your part, and they did nothing, they just moved forward?
I didn't do anything.
Right, I agree. So they just moved forward on it, they said,
Well, objection, speculation as to what the district attorney's office did with the case.
Citizen.
so you told, so my understanding is you told the DA that you erred in the dates,
That's correct.
and which seemed like the right thing to do. So basically, so basically, officer, your knowledge of Facebook records, you wouldn't have none in 2014. Am I correct?
I don't have any Facebook records for the listed profiles for 2014, that's correct.
Basically, you only got from 2015. And how many search warrants did you obtain?
Just for this case, sir?
Yes, yeah, yes, officer.
Just one.
You only retained one Facebook search warrant?
Yes, just one.
Can I bring this to your attention?
I don't know what he has.
If they could be shown in this call.
That's fine if he wants the detective to look at it.
Yes.
It's the front page for the application of search warrant that contains all the requested information.
From Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not one, is it?
That's one whole warrant. Yes, it is.
One whole warrant? How many people was on that warrant, officer?
This warrant encompassed 3 user profiles.
Can you name those 3?
It's a Raymond Davis and a poker star Raymond Davis and a Vanessa Robinson.
So you have one Raymond Davis, you have one poker star Raymond Davis, and then you have one Vanessa Robinson.
That's correct.
Have people ever made fake profiles, to your knowledge?
Objection, speculation, relevance.
In regards to this speculation as if you know.
If you know of it, have you ever heard of anybody making a fake Facebook profile?
I don't have any information to, I guess, to prove that they have, if anyone has.
So you can't prove if anyone made a fake Facebook profile?
I apologize. Do you mean in general or not
Right,
this
in
case?
general.
Okay.
No, I can't show if someone, I can't show if someone has a profile, if it's real or fake, I don't know.
That's, I agree. So you wouldn't know if these profiles are real or fake?
For these specific profiles, the information that I provided to Facebook was the information related to my investigation. If they returned the information that I guess received to confirm that they're linked to these usernames.
Officer Martinez, are you familiar with IP addresses?
I'm somewhat familiar.
Somewhat. Did you go get an IP address on these Facebook accounts?
I did not.
So you're somewhat familiar with IP addresses. So can you explain to the jury what an IP address is?
An IP address is, from my experience, it's a set of numbers that's given that gives you, that's tied into a Wi-Fi or a tower connected to the person using that, how can I say, internet service or stream. And so, for example, your Wi-Fi at home has its own specific IP address that is solely assigned to you through your service provider. And sometimes the IP addresses could be a guest, like a Starbucks has a guest Wi-Fi, and that has a specific IP address for that location.
So basically, what you're saying, Officer Martinez, if you would have went and got IP addresses, you could have pinpointed whose Facebook ad was. Is that true?
Objection calls for an opinion beyond his expertise.
Your Honor, is showing that he could find out who Facebook this is.
So I just need you to, the objection is sustained, and I just need you to lay a foundation on what regards to whether or not he has that knowledge of how to do
So,
that.
do you have the knowledge, ability to match an IP address with an address?
It's not in my expertise. It's not in my expertise, so we have a specific detail I guess are experts in doing that.
So you have someone in-house that could have, a police officer that could have matched the IP addresses and found out exactly who the user of these Facebooks was.
Well, objection, it's beyond his expertise. I mean, IP addresses versus who's using and bumping on an IP address, I don't think he has the knowledge base.
Do you have any independent knowledge to answer those questions yourself?
I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so the objection as a speculation would be sustained.
Your Honor, what he's saying is his department.
Okay, I understand what he's saying, but the objection is sustained.
So, get back to Facebook. So, you only found out that your dates were off from 4 or 5 years ago. You found out recently. How recent was that?
It was in preparation for this trial, is when I observed the error.
Can you tell me the date you observed this error?
We've been preparing for this trial I've been preparing for this trial for quite a bit, so I would say, safe to say before September of this,
This past September?
the first set date was September 9th, so in preparation of this probably over the summer of this year. Sometime, I don't have a
You
specific
found
date.
out over the summer that if your address was
I don't have a specific date, sir.
and you informed the DA that the dates were off.
That's correct.
In what year did you go get the arrest warrant to arrest defendant Raymond Davis? The defendant?
When I issued the warrant,
Yes.
September of 2016, I believe.
So, my question is, if you went and got a warrant from 2016, and we are now in 2019, and these are some serious allegations, why didn't you just go arrest the defendant?
We have procedures within our department, and when you're in the investigative bureau, when a detective submits to the district attorney for a warrant and the warrant gets approved, at that time, the procedures are to send it to our criminal apprehension team to apprehend the suspect if, in fact, the warrant is approved by the district attorney's office. And that procedural technique was often used at that time, and that's the steps that I took for this case.
So, in 2016, you knocked on the defendant's door. Am I correct?
January of 2016, yes.
You knocked on the door. so you knew where the defendant lived.
That's correct.
So my question is, when you get a warrant, this is a big case. This is alleged crime against kids. So would you want to get that person out of the community, off the streets?
Is that a question? Or
Yes, would you want to get that person out of the community, off the streets?
if there's a person sexually abusing children and I have that factual information to make that determination, yes.
So why in 2016 wasn't officers sent there and apprehend Mr. Davis?
There was many investigative steps that I had not completed that I wanted to complete for the case.
So it was your call not to call, send in and have me arrested?
That's correct.
That's strange.
Could I ask to strike that, please?
It'll be stricken, there will not be any comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let's get back to your police report. So, in your police report, where did Mr. Davis meet the alleged victim, Vanessa Robinson?
I recall it was at a Fat Burger restaurant.
And was she with someone or was she alone?
Vanessa Robinson stated she was alone.
Was the defendant with someone?
She recalled a female juvenile around her age with the defendant.
When did she say she met him on Facebook?
Well, objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
So, did Vanessa tell you about some,
Objection, hearsay.
Is there a hearsay exception that you have?
yes, I got his testimony, I got his volunteer statement is what I'm going on, basically.
Right, so I'm asking you if there's an exception to the hearsay rule you'd like me to consider.
Yes, because it's his statements, yeah.
So the objection is sustained.
So, in her statements to you, did she tell you how long she knew the defendant?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, these are not hearsay because she testified to these statements, so it cannot be hearsay. Plus, she will be returning to the stand tomorrow, so it cannot be hearsay if someone testified to it already.
So it's an out-of-court statement offered for the truth, and I haven't heard a specific exception. Just because she already testified doesn't make it an exception.
It was not an out-of-court statement, it was an in-court statement.
So the document that you're pointing to is an out-of-court statement.
Yes,
So
that's
unless
correct.
there's an exception to the hearsay rule, those statements cannot come in. So if you believe that there is an exception to the hearsay rule that you'd like me to consider, I'm happy to do so. Thus far, I have not heard an exception, so the objection is sustained.
Did the defendant, did the victim, alleged victim, tell you about any scars on the defendant?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
How old did the defendant tell you she was?
Objection, hearsay, foundation.
I'm sorry, how old did the defendant tell you
Did the
she was?
victim tell the detective she was?
That's sustained, that's hearsay, unless you have an exception you'd like the court to consider.
Yeah, the exception is, Your Honor, 51.035, hearsay defined, subsection 2A.
Which is?
It's inconsistencies with the declarations of testimony.
So an inconsistent statement?
Yes.
And so, I apologize, you're stating that,
This is inconsistent with the inconsistency with the declarations of testimony, the Clarence testimony.
approach. So I'm just trying, in order for you to get a prior inconsistent statement, I don't know if you're stating what she said on the stand was inconsistent with what she said in the statement. Where's the inconsistency in your
It's
opinion?
inconsistency opposed to what she said and what he's saying. So it's in the,
Tell me. She said this and he said this. Tell me what's the inconsistency so I can
well,
know.
the inconsistency is going to be the age also.
No, I know. Tell me what she said.
Well, in the grand jury indictment, she said I was alone. To the officer, he's saying that I was with someone. That's inconsistent.
Well, I think
I got the grand jury indictment where she says, oh, he was alone, but he's saying that I was with someone. That's totally inconsistent.
Okay, and I just want to make sure we're talking about her grand jury testimony and not China's or anybody else's.
Right.
So you're saying that grand jury, she stated that you were alone,
Mm-hmm.
but then when she told him, she
Mhm.
said that you were with somebody?
Yes.
Okay. Are those inconsistencies there? Because I don't have knowledge of what the grand jury said.
Well, it is, but he's the wrong person to ask that. That's cross for her. He has no opinion about what was said at the grand jury. Do you know what I mean?
At the grand jury, yes.
Right, so if he wants to cross-examine, if he wants to ask, can lay a foundation from yesterday's testimony and the statements in her voluntary that he took are inconsistent, then he may have a leg to stand on, but he can't cross-examine him about grand jury testimony.
Your Honor, basically,
That's true. So if she says one thing in her voluntary statement to him, okay, and then she came in here and she testified in here to something different, then you can bring that up to him and impeach her through what she told him. But grand jury you can only do through her because he wasn't there. So if you have something that's inconsistent between her voluntary statement and what she told him, then you can get into that. And that would be
that's what I was getting into.
No, you just said you were talking about grand jury.
Well, I was talking about her. He got me with saying I had somebody with me. In the grand jury, she's saying
In
I was wrong.
the grand jury, we cannot get into with him. You can get that into with her. If you have something about inconsistencies between what she told him and what she testified to, that is an exception to the hearsay rule. He can't talk about grand jury because he doesn't know anything about that. You can cross her, okay? So if you want to get into the voluntary statement, any inconsistency between what she testified to here on Friday and what's in that statement, that is fair grounds. Grand jury is out. Got it? Okay.
Officer, your ID process, tell me how you do your ID process.
Can you ask that in a different question? What kind of ID process?
Yes, how do you go about doing your lineups? Do you bring the suspect in, do you bring the victim in, is it not behind the TV screen, or do you line up people with them, or how do you do it?
So the photo lineups are a set of photos that are, it's an array of photos that are presented to the witness or victim, in this case, a victim and a witness, and in this case, a sequential order, one photo at a time, with a set of instructions that are from our police department.
So you mail them to them?
No, in this case, they were done with the victim. In this case, I utilized a staff member from the Caliente Youth Center to complete the photo lineup for me.
So you had a staff member do your photo lineup, officer?
That's correct.
Why wouldn't you do it yourself?
Miss Vanessa Robinson was away from Las Vegas, and it's often, at times, best practice to have someone that has no knowledge of the investigation or suspect information to complete a photo lineup, so they're neutral in the case. And in this case, I felt it would benefit the case to complete, to take that investigative step and complete the lineup with someone else.
So basically what you're saying is you had staff at Caliente, instead of the police, conduct a photo lineup.
Yes, I did.
So you yourself never did a photo lineup?
Not with Miss Robinson, no.
So when you're having a staff do the police work for you, what kind of instructions do it come with?
It comes with the LVMPD instructions that are downloaded from our police department's Word program, and it's, in this case, printed along with a set of photographs and mailed over to Mr. Tyler Peterson.
So do you think this is secure?
Excuse me?
The method from which you use to identify people, do you think this is secure?
I don't understand the question, Mr. Davis.
Do you think it's secure that you would send over something to a staff, photos to a staff, and tell them, download this, go through these instructions in your letter, and then give it to the alleged victim, and then have them pick out something? Do you think that's fair?
Well, objection, that calls for a legal conclusion. Fair.
Yeah, I think it's vague, but I also, if you're talking about the reasonableness of
Right.
the photo lineup, I think that is a legal conclusion. So if you'd like to rephrase it, if you think it's best practice or something like that.
Do you think this is good practice for the police department?
It's not common practice for me, but in some cases, I have made that decision to do that.